I have a couple of questions. One is from Lee Martin. And this, actually, they're both pretty complicated ones for that matter, but regarding highest will, is there any actual point or value in our holding on to or working through our own ideals, misguided as they may be, either personally or sociologically? Or are we wasting our time and effort that could be better utilized elsewhere? This is complicated in more than one way, from my point of view. I made a few notes here. Not sure that they angle in, hopefully on the angle that Lee is talking about. But this concept of higher will or higher love is, from my point of view, not only an interesting one, but a valuable one. We have a tendency to forget that we are part of a gradation system. And in that, and what I mean by that is, on our planet, we have a will system or a love system that relates directly to doing what we want, how we want, when we want, for a purpose that relates directly to achieving our personalized ideals. And they shift from one thing to another. I think that is part of a formula. And the way I'm going to speak about it is related to gradations of our ability to begin to understand that there may be something beyond the ideals that we can come up with, or the purposes that we can come up with in relationship to living life. In our present situation, the focus primarily relates directly to a sociological kind of conglomerate. It pushes things together and sets up ways that we should attempt to be, and that changes. Actually changes almost every decade. And there have been big changes in relationship to religion, for example, or philosophy, or the instigation of an individual's function as the only important thing in existence. And I can understand where that came from and still comes from, because in a kind of a way, we're trying to move into a phase of existence where our personalized will becomes a part of a greater whole. And that causes a real dilemma, because the greater whole in our species, and this cuts into the next question, is a configuration that relates directly to past efforts of understanding how existence should be. And existence is broken down into individual engagements, familial engagement, living in a community which has gradations of cities and provinces or states, depending on where you live, districts, how they should be. And then we get hooked into or hypnotized or mesmerized into the idea that the feature of these mini-states are more valuable than the features of another mini-state of how one should be. And there's a tremendous variance in this, and I think the variance is probably a good thing if we can get to the point where we can say, okay, how is this working? Okay, I wonder if that might be moved into some of what we do, because it seems to be working fairly well, and a kind of a coming together of ideas that relate to how to function as a human race. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way too well yet, because we're at a state of relative movement, as all of you may have probably realized long before I did, that we tend to duplicate what has gone on in the past. We like to think that we're highly individualistic in terms of a present versus another present. But unfortunately, that's not actually how it seems to be working. To be honest, repetition of something often doesn't always choose the high points in relationship to respect and kindness and, honor and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not so sure we can do that ideally, because our experience on this planet is that we're more proud of relative successes that are very physically focused as opposed to mentally focused. Looking at history, you begin to see that almost right away, if you can allow yourself to be okay with seeing it. In fact, if you have already charged yourself with the electricity of being valued because you're part of the dominant factor in a particular territory, then in fact you're kind of in love with being in that sense of being in charge or control or whatever it may be. We have a lot to learn as a human structure. It seems, to me at least, and to a lot of others. But in a kind of a strange way, we're going about it in a rather very slow show and tell process. It has been shown to us in the past through our history that some forms of dominance are very aggressive, counterproductive to most of the people in the territory where it happens. And we still, many of us on this particular plane, tend to think that seems to be an important way to be. Certainly elevates an individual into a sense of power of some kind, and that then if you get hooked onto that, then you're addicted to that kind of thing in a kind of a way, and that's the way you want to be because it makes better sense. But it's not sense-making. There's a better feel of being valued in some particular manner. And unfortunately, that is engaging with the past again. Trying to work something out in a different way is not the apple of everyone's eye. And that is worldwide, by the way. That is not just generally speaking part of a territory that's close to us. It is definitely worldwide. And therefore, it leaves a certain level of vulnerability to those of us who would like to see something different. And we realize that not everybody agrees with each other. And that's part of the dilemma, but it's also part of making sure that we keep in mind certain things that may not be favorable as a flavor of engagement with life, if you can interpret it that way. It's not always interpreted that way. So the actual engagement with a so-called higher will, and as you know, my version of higher will is a higher engagement with love. So if you look at our attention, the attention that we give to wanting everyone to be a certain way because it pleases us, then you can understand that this can be looked at as personal ideals or society, ideals of society, certain societies, and also very difficult to change. This concept of loving at our level is highly individualized. And when you talk about individualization, you're talking about the same thing that occurs in an individual will occur in a group. A group of people will idealize their version of engaging, whether it be positive or negative. It doesn't matter what it is. They will idealize that way of engaging. It's very difficult to hold on to an engagement with an attempt to grow internally. That is, to change your version of personalized love to a love that somehow includes how you function, plus includes a broader picture that might be related to a higher or a much broader way of looking at the concept of love or will. This is not so easy to ferret out. And often when you look at it, you can see, I'll give you an example. For example, many people have found out as they have attempted to grow, one could call it spiritual or an engagement with a deeper, loving flow of energy, they have found that the very tools that they use, whether it be meditation or prayer or whatever it happens to be, or repetitive engagements with mantras or whatever, they have often, unless they're very disciplined, they have engaged and forgotten to engage. Often because life becomes profoundly busy. And it's almost like life itself sometimes, our version of how it should be or how the species has engaged with us, it's almost as if all of a sudden there's a plethora of things to do that get us so busy that we don't automatically go and sit and consider our relationship with existence and let ourselves try to immerse ourselves into a flow of gentler, softer, loving thought even, or energy. There is a place that can be reached by us that is akin to letting the body sleep and the mind is awake. This is often considered by some a beginning. You're meditating, one could say, sleeping, another could say, and that feels really beautiful and wonderful. But the mind is awake, and it's as if the mind opens and you are watching you with the body and all its reflexes, natural reflexes, really retired. Sleep into a pose that relates to letting go. And remember, our focus is on the body. Whether we like to admit that or not, that's another story. But this is a thing, this form is the thing that we pay attention to in our engagement with life. In watching at this slightly different state, we're watching and quiet starts to embrace our watching. In other words, we're not chatting away. That's asleep. But our awareness of it in a kind of slumber is quite capable, our awareness is quite capable of engaging with that state, a state of awareness. That's part of the mind plane. It can also be considered part of the emotional plane at a higher level. In other words, there's no reaction in there, there's no interaction, there's just watching. Very quiet. In that state, you can engage then with perhaps a petition, a prayer, one could call it, a petition for an alignment with the higher state. Here's the dilemma, and this is in alignment with the ideals that Lee is talking about. Here's the difficulty. Once we do that, then when you come out of that glowing state, you come into this plane, and immediately there can be a reflex of how important you are because you are able to reach that state. This is part of how we engage with the world. That means that we are the important thing in that level. Well, that sounds like it's putting it down, but no, it's not. The issue here is that this is where we are. And unless we pay attention to that and realize that that is a state where our relationship with will or love has shifted purposefully. Now, that purpose may show up in our system quite differently. It might give us more perception while we're awake on the physical plane. And you got to remember one tiny little snippet. In a kind of a way, even that awareness while we're sleeping, conscious awareness, is telling us that that's an aspect of the energy that is being constructed in us, physically, emotionally, mentally. That's still an aspect of our relationship with life. So that is just a step into another level of engagement where we can actually understand that the structure that we are, as able and functional and very helpful in a lot of ways, when it's not there, there is something else. And that something else is connected to another state of awareness of a different level of love for our engagement with existence right there. And at the same time, it can get strong enough to allow you to learn how to do that while you're interacting with life. It's a bit of a complication there, but another thing enters in here. As you begin to engage with different levels of potential, energy can operate through, down and through you into how you used to function, because as you gain access to that level, you're starting to attempt to shift. And a lot of people won't like that shift too much because you'll be slightly different, or they'll be upset at you for being different. So they'll try to get you back in there. And they won't even know they're doing that most of the time. But here you go. Energy comes in, moves through how you used to act into others who used to be very similar to you, no matter what that looks like. And that energy can be helpful to others because you have begun to shift in you around that will or love state that you used previously. I am not saying that the previous love state that you used before is gone. I'm not saying that. I am saying that you are interacting with two very, very clearly different states there. And you can watch one and see the other state in action while you're functioning. And one of the ways to deter that is to ask that not your will, but the highest will be done. Well, who are you talking to? Well, you may be talking to that state, that secondary state, but you're also talking to you. You're asking that you allow an engagement with change to occur within you and therefore within others. You can try to prove this with yourself, as you know, those images of the chakras that we have with two people talking to each other. And one has a prominent brow and the other has a prominent throat center. And they're helping each other unknown to them. And gracefully unknown to them, because if they knew it, they would be trying to increase the help. Because that personalization fundamentally makes the individual feel better, and very important because they're doing something. And the they're talking about is that very physically focused personality enticement that they believe makes them superior. This is just something we do. And maybe something at the grassroots level that we can attempt to be helpful with. But remember, an aspect of you will not want to change that. That's an aspect of love, your love for you, and your willfulness about the value of you being stand up, important in relationship to all others. This is why it's so complex and so difficult to explain. I apologize for my explanations because the best I can do is to use my verbalizations to try and explain something that is not always easy. This is just how I see it, and maybe you can think about it and perhaps it might make some sense. But in the meantime, it's important that you live life and function the best you can wherever you think you need to do whatever you think you need to do, Because that aspect is the cultivation of an understanding and meaning within you relative to you. You're searching in a kind of a way for personalized meaning. And in the depth of that search, you're searching for an understanding of how a life should function or could function or might function relative to your upbringing and your engagement with the difficulties that you may have and the positives that you may have and how you put them together and knowing full well that none of us are perfect and we don't do a bang-up job all the time. And it's the nature of how we function. And I'm not talking about the presentations that we give to others. That's just stuff. It's like writing a science fiction book. But it's a part of a narrative. The narrative that we believe is acceptable to others and acceptable to us, whatever that may be. And sometimes narratives that are not acceptable to us or others. But it's the engagement that we have with what we've got, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And we do this to the best degree that is feasible, second to second to second to second to second. We often cannot see the positives that we engage with. We often look at the negatives that we have been a part of, whatever that means, because we all see things from a different perspective. And this is a really deep secret because we're inclined to align with ideas that may not even be ours or might be ours to some degree, but that alignment is always also giving up stuff in a kind of a way. And that's a good thing sometimes, compromise. It is a good thing because it's the thing that is common in all of us that helps us to be willing to communicate with each other. It's easy to pick up someone's miscues and engage with them rather than the things that they do well. All you have to do is look at history and you'll find that to be also true. And I'm not talking about the world history, I'm talking about personal history, your own personal history. Keep that to yourself, apparently. It's not very good to give to others as ammunition, so that anything you say is always painted with that ammunition. That's not helpful. Listening to yourself is a very, very important thing, one would think. Trying to understand a little bit about why you would do those things, positive or negative. Engage the way you do with oscillations in terms of sound. Really important to take a look at that the best you can. And to recognize that they originated somewhere. And we are the best copiers. Even our DNA and RNA do the same things. We are copiers from everywhere. If we can see that, then we can learn how to question. Questioning is not negative. It doesn't have to imply negativity. Finding an idea about how one functions provokes curiosity. And maybe that's a good thing. Trying to think. I said trying to think. Lee, I hope that is what you were asking. I took my take on it. I hope, and it's not a perfect answer, and I know that. But life can be very, very strong, have its strong effects on us, and sometimes it's very hard to see the subtleties. So I wish you well with that. And here's another one from Barbara Newport here in Ottawa. Lee was from Nashville, in case anyone didn't know. Ron, at the seminar you said that the species functions as an individual and is not conscious. I would like to understand this better. Could you talk more about this? I base this on a snippet of a meditation I had back in the 70s. And you don't have to agree with this. It's just a thought. I remember I saw a form in the universe almost looked like a round body with a kind of head, almost like a snail, but it didn't have the... And as it was moving in the universe, in existence, a simple finger came out and nudged it to the left and nudged it to the right. At the time, I was trying to understand, at least the best I could, the relationship that our species might have with us as an individual. Because how can you not consider 8 billion people living on a single planet not having an effect on each other? I mean, the very physical engagements that we have nationally affects the whole world, especially in our electronic age. And the impact is tremendous. It's so fascinating that newspapers are leaving us, allowing little snippets of information to become really important to us, as if those snippets are biblical. And this is very disturbing as you probably have found it disturbing, Barbara. But it's disturbing because a snippet of information doesn't tell the whole story of anything. It tells a little view of something. And if you have 6 or 7 snippets in the news on your electronic device, you start to be aligned with that tendency to think in that direction. This is disturbing, and it should be disturbing to everybody. We don't get enough information about anything. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't pay attention to it. It means we should be open to trying to understand things broader than we're being led to believe. However, this particular image that I had made me realize that we're only as able as the lowest level of engagement that we have on this planet. It is not my view, but kind of a thought that Plato had, even though Plato isn't perfect either, that our lowest common denominator will one day be the boss of how we think. This is, you can read it in the Republic if you want to go through all that. And it might be an interesting thing to cultivate the brain. Once again, whatever you read with an eye to be curious about what you think. Might be interesting. However, if most of us on this planet are relatively easily led and don't like the sound of it, doesn't mean we're not led to think one way or another, and that's realistic. We have to understand also that there are certain ways of engaging and getting information out relative to what we think might be true. So this is what we do get. So it doesn't mean that a species with 8 billion people think exactly the same way. But we have a tendency to be pressed in directions. Well, that might be common. And that, now you start trying to say something here. As some of you know from the way I talk, I think the species has an impact on us. In that, our relationship with ourselves individually, definitely emotionally, which is a tremendous force, engages with us and in a kind of a way wants us to be in alignment with it. And it's a powerful form. This is really on the edge here. You don't have to agree with this. But think about it. You have a group of friends. And you have ideas. And you align with them. Doesn't mean they're always true. But it does mean you align with them. This is what many forms of engagement with life is about. You have a geology group all over the world that has conventions. Psychology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, religions. And there are conferences. You get together and you agree and you engage with this particular line of relationship that you have. And you come up with ideas, and those ideas are considered. And then, in a kind of a way, conclusions occur that must be true. Why? Because we figured it out this way. And in this stream of logic, this makes sense. Under these circumstances, this is what occurs. Whatever that may be. The emotional engagement, even though we consider a lot of that stuff intellectual, the emotional engagement is strong. We have to allow ourselves to admit that emotion plays a big part in our world. Not only beliefs, but in all kinds of things that relate to just functioning. Science has an emotional component in it all. Somebody comes up with an idea that is brand new and feasible. It doesn't mean it's accepted, and this has been the history of science. But sometimes it is. That also has been the history of science. And the same is true in every other quarter. So there is a tremendous amount of emotional intensity. As an individual, if you begin to do something that is different than how you have lived life before, and you make a decision and you say, I think I would like not to do that as much as I did before. And you decide that. I don't care how old you are. There will be a feedback loop. One that wants you to do exactly what you did before. It's an ingrained after a while. You could say it's a habit. You could say the feelings that you got by doing it made you feel good and righteous and of value. Therefore, maybe you continue to do it. Now you have to be subtle. So you have to do it in a kind of subtle manner. The problem with that is that if you're around people who already have done stuff like that, they see right through your subtlety. And that's a dilemma, because you don't believe that anyone notices. And it may be true that you don't even notice. Now you need a sense of humor, and it has to be a big one. Because what you're really doing is laughing at yourself in a holy place for you, a place that gives you a good sense of worth and value. Well, those places, as you notice them, can also be used by higher states. I think I mentioned a little bit. Well, that means that you are changing an aspect of the species, because those others related that may change as well are a part of the species. Sounds simplistic the first time this idea was offered. It sounds so simplistic, very hard to think. I know Carl Jung struggled with this one in terms of the collective unconscious, which you can read about. And had to come up because being a learned man, he had to have words that would align directly with something that was relative to Freud's work, kinda, on an individual. Unconscious related to an individual. Collective unconscious related to all of us. One could say that drew an alignment between all human beings. Not only one nation, one area in the world, but all human beings. So if that changes in a number of human beings, then it changes somewhere in the species. So if you try to follow that logic, then the unconscious becomes a place where you can think about, engage with, and try to understand the mechanism that has occurred within you. That unconscious, as you become more aware, becomes closer to the surface where you can see things you couldn't see before. Therefore, in doing that, you begin to cultivate a different level of understanding than you had before around how you function, how others function even. Then all you have to work with, and I say this with my tongue in my cheek, is the judgment that you're used to having in relationship to everybody in the world. Just saying. Not that you would have judgment. But then you begin to realize that that judgment comes from an aspect of seeing that relates to how you were before. If indeed changes could have occurred within you. And as you attempt to try to be helpful to yourself, and I mean helpful, then there is an element of willingness. Again, this love or will, to allow yourself to attempt it, but also to perceive when it's very difficult for you to do so because of not only your past training, but how it made you feel to be valued or valuable even in your own eyes. And this is, once again, a very complex thing because, in my opinion, the species is fairly young. It's still strongly involved with the physical, emotional phase of life. And at the grassroots of all of us, you can actually see that physical, emotional response mechanism that you have in you as you're dealing with people every day of your life. You have reactions, engagements. You present how you think you need to present in a certain given level of circumstance. It's the nature of how we function with each other. So we're not negative beings. We're attempting to be in a way that is at the level of how we normally engage in life and how we hope to be okay within ourselves in life, the best we can. So I think now we're going to meditate. It's time for meditation. Thank you very much for those two questions, even though they are difficult to engage with. And I hope some of that was interesting, or at least food for thought. Take care, everybody. We'll meditate and then have a really good rest of your evening.
Parashakti Sundari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mahamaye Mangali Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mahakali Bhairavi Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mahalakshmi Vaishnavi Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Devi Shankari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Lalita Devi Uma Parvati Shive Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Lalita Devi Ma Bhavani Ambike Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Lalita Devi Annapurna Lakshmi Ma Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Lalita Devi Kamala Katyayani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Lalita Devi Tvam Brahmani Gayatri Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Amba Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi Tvam Raja Rajeshwari Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi Bhagavati Bhargavi Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi Parabhakti Varade Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi Maya Vishwamohini Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi Ishwari Narayani Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Mamba Lalita Devi या परमेश्वरी नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः जगदम्बे जननी नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः त्वम् आनन्दसागरी नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः सर्वमङ्गलमङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके देवी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु Palladaye Namo Namaha Patiratanganaabhishta Palladaye Namo Namaha Om Avyaya Karuna Pura Puritaye Namo Namaha Prakashaye Namo Namaha Sahasra Surya Samyukta Prakashaye Namo Namaha Sushuptinam Sakshi Bhutye Namo Namaha Jagrat Swapna Sushuptinam Sakshi Bhutye Namo Namaha Om Mahapapapapanam Vinashinye Namo Namaha Mahabhiti Bhanjanaye Namo Namaha Dustabhiti Mahabhiti Bhanjanaye Namo Namaha Om Samasta Deva Tanuja Prerakaye Namo Namaha namo namaha. Sharanaye namo namaha. Sahasraritya saundarya shariraye namo namaha. namo namaha.
Now we'll just begin to do the balancing and grounding, and have a good evening.